We begin now at the top of Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph and Maseches Brachos. This is Berachos 13a. The Gemara just finished saying that according to the Chachamim, even in the times of Mashiach, so Yetzias Mitzrayim is not going to be totally forgotten. It's just going to be tafel. It's just going to be secondary to the coming of Mashiach, to the ending of Shibud Malchios. And the Gemara compared it to Yaakov Avinu, that even though Yaakov's name was changed to Yisrael, it's not that the name Yaakov is no longer, it's just that it is secondary to Yisrael, and the Gemara now continues explaining that point. Lo sheyekar Yaakov mimakomo. It is not that the name Yaakov is uprooted from its place. Ela Yisrael ikar v'Yaakov tafel lo. Rather, the name Yisrael is the main name, and Yaakov is the secondary name. V'cheinu omer, and likewise it says, Al tizkru rishonos v'kadmonios al tisbonenu. Do not remember the early things, and do not think about and understand the early matters. What is this talking about? Al tizkru rishonos zeh shibun malchios. It means you're not going to remember the shibun malchios at the times of Mashiach. You're no longer going to remember being in the under the rule of other countries. V'kadmonios al tisbonenu zu Yetzias Mitzrayim. And similarly, you will not remember, you will not think about Yetzias Mitzrayim, the leaving of Mitzrayim, once Mashiach comes, because times will be so different. You won't remember the earlier oppressive times. Hineni osa chadasha ato titzmach. It says, I'm going to make new, and now it will flower forth, it will sprout forth. Tani Rav Yosef taught, zu milchemes Gog umagog. This refers to the war of Gog umagog. This pasuk is written in the same pasuk of Al Tizkru Rishonos, that you won't remember the early matters, and the Gemara now goes on to explain. This is comparable to a person who's going on the road, and he meets up with a wolf, and he's saved from the wolf, and he goes and tells everyone the story of what happened with the wolf. Then a lion comes, and he's saved from it, and he goes and tells everyone the story of the Ari of the lion. Pagabo Nachash, then a snake comes, Vinitzel Mimenu, he saved, Shachach Maise Shneim, he forgets both of those earlier episodes, Vahaya Mesaper, Vaholech Maise Nachash, and he goes and he tells the story of the Nachash, the story of the snake. Av Kach Yisrael, so too it is with Klal Yisrael, Tsaros Achronos Meshachos Esarishonos, the later Tsaros, they make us forget the earlier Tsaros, so that's what it means over here when it talks about Shibud Malchios, it makes us forget Yetzias Mitzrayim, the times of Mashiach makes us forget all of the earlier time periods. The Gemara now continues. Once the Gemara discussed the name of Yaakov and Yisrael, the Gemara now discusses different names that were changed in the Chumash. Avram, who Avram? This is a pasuk in Divrei Hayamim. The pasuk says Avram is Avraham. Betchila nasa of la'aram. Originally, he was the father for Aram. Ulevasof nasa av l'chola olam kulo. Avraham, the changing of the name, indicates that at the end he was the father of the entire world. Sarai, she is Sarai. Sarai he Sarai rather is Sarah. Betchila nasis Sarai lu'masa. Originally she was just the chief, the general. She was the leader for her nation. Ulevasof nasis Sarah l'chol ha'olam kulo. And then she became the leader for the entire world. Tani bar kapara taught, Kol hakore la'avraham Avram over ba'aseh. Anyone who calls Avram transgresses in aseh. Shenemar, like it says, V'haya shimcha Avraham. Your name will be Avraham. Rabbi Eliezer says, over belav, he transgresses a lav. Shenemar, like it says, V'lo yikare od as shimcha Avram. Your name should no longer be called Avram. It's said in a negative, so therefore it is a lav. Gemara asks, Ela me'ata, but according to that, Hakore l'sara sarai hachinami. Would you say the same thing about someone who calls Sarah Sarai? So the Gemara says, no. Hasam kudsha berichu amar le'avram Sarai ishtecha lo sikra es shema Sarai ki Sarah shema. Over there, it was just HaKadosh Baruch Hu telling Avraham that her name is not Sarai any longer, it is Sarah, but it is not a prohibition for everybody. Ela me'ata, but according to that, Hakore li'Yakov, Yaakov hachinami. What about someone who calls Yaakov instead of Yisrael? Is that also a problem? Gemara says, no, Shani Hasam, it's different over there. The Hadar Ahadre Kra, because the Pasuk goes back and calls him Yaakov. Also, Dechsiv, like it says, Vayomer Elokim li Yisrael b'maros halayla. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Yisrael at the time of the night, Vayomer Yaakov. He said to him, Yaakov. You see that even HaKadosh Baruch Hu called him Yaakov after his name was changed to Yisrael. So you see that Yaakov is a secondary name and it can still be used. Mesiv Rabbi Yossi bar Avin v'itema Rabbi Yossi bar Zavida. Rabbi Yossi bar Avin asks, and some people say Rabbi Yossi bar Zavida asks, Atahu Hashem hu Elokim asher bacharta bi'Avram. You are Hashem who chose Avram. So it seems like we're still calling him Avram after the fact, and you said that we're no longer allowed to do that. Amar le, so he said back to him, the answer to that is, Hasam Navi hu dekamasader l'shivchei derachmana ma'idahava meikara. Over there, the Navi, this is a pasuk in Nehemiah, over here the Navi is going back and saying the praise of what happened earlier when HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved Avraham from Ur Kasdim, and at that time he was called Avram, so the pasuk calls him Avram, but it's only because it's recollecting the past do we refer to him as Avram. Hadron Aloch Me'emasai, that is the end of the first parak of Brachos, the end of the parak Me'emasai. If you are enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe to this channel, and as well you can find other ways to support this channel in the description box below. We will now begin the second parak of Maseches Brachos. If a person is reading the Torah and the time for reading Kriyas Shema happens to come along, im kiven libo yatsa, if he has kavana to be yotzei the mitzvah of Kriyas Shema, he is yotzei the mitzvah. Even though he was just reading from the Torah, he can be yotzei, but, says the Mishnah, he does have to have kavanah, he has to have intention to be yotzei. We'll see exactly what this means in the Gemara. Beprakim shoel mipnei hakavod umeshiv. So now we're starting with the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Beprakim, when you're in between sections of the brachos of Kriyas Shema, a person can ask shalom from other people because of honor, and he can answer to people because of honor. Meaning, if somebody approaches you and says hello, somebody who deserves honor, you can answer them, and you can also even ask someone who deserves honor. You can say hello initially to them if it is somebody of that stature. Uva emtza, and in the middle of brachos of Kriyas Shema, and we should say in the middle of different sections of Kriyas Shema, shoel mipnei hayira umeshiv. Then you can only ask and answer and respond to somebody who you fear, that is a higher level than someone who you honor. Divrei Rabbi Meir, those are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says, Ba'emsa, if you're in the middle of a section, Shoel mipnei hayira, you can ask, you can say Shalom Aleichem out of someone you do to somebody who you fear. Umeishiv mipnei hakavod, and you can answer somebody who you honor. You cannot initiate the Shalom Aleichem to somebody who you honor, but you could answer. Uva prakim, and when you're in between sections, Shoel mipnei hakavod, then you are allowed to ask even somebody who is just someone that you honor, not necessarily someone that you fear. We're more lenient between sections. Umeishiv shalom l'chol adam, and you can respond Shalom Aleichem to any person who says Shalom Aleichem to you when you are in between sections. So effectively, Rabbi Yehuda is a little bit more lenient than Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir, for example, says that in the middle of sections, the only time you can say hello or respond hello is to somebody who you fear. Rabbi Yehuda says that if you're in the middle of a section, indeed, even somebody who you honor, you can answer. It's true the same is true by initiating hello only to someone who you fear, but you can respond even to someone who you honor. And then in between sections, Rabbi Meir says that all you can do is say hello or respond to somebody who you show honor to, whereas Rabbi Yehuda says that in between sections you can say hello to someone you honor, but you can even respond to any person. Now the Mishnah continues to explain what is considered between sections of the brachos of Kriyas Shema. Elohein bein haprakim. The following is considered between sections. Bein bracha rishona lishniya, between the first bracha and the second bracha. Bein shniya lishma, between the second bracha and the beginning of Shema. Bein shma levahaya im shamoa, between Shema and vahaya im shamoa, meaning right after v'yahavta. Bein vahaya im shamoa levayomer, right after vahaya im shamoa, right before vayomer. That's between sections. Bein vayomer leemes v'yatziv, and between vayomer and emes v'yatziv. That is also considered between sections. Rabbi Yehuda says, Bein vayomer le'emes v'yatziv lo yafsik. A person should not make an interruption between vayomer and emes v'yatziv, meaning really between the words emes and v'yatziv, there should be no interruption. Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Karcha says, Lama kidma parshas Shema levahaya im shamoa. Why does the parsha of Shema come before the parsha of vahaya im shamoa? Kedei sheyakabel olav ol malchus shamayim betchila, in order that you can first accept upon yourself the yoke of heaven. v'achar kach mekavel olav ol mitzvos, and then you will accept upon yourself the yoke of the mitzvos. V'hayim shamoa levayomer. Why does v'hayim shamoa come before vayomer? Shev'hayim shamoa noheg bein bayom uvein balayla. V'hayim shamoa is noheg. It occurs both during the day and during the night. Vayomer eino noheg ela b'yom bilvad. But vayomer only applies during the day. What does it mean that vayomer only applies during the day? So Rashi explains, eino noheg ela bayom demishtoi b'tzitzis. She'eino nohegas ela b'yom. What is the parsha of vayomer talking about? It's talking about tzitzis, which only happens during the day. Tichsiv, like it says, uri isem oso. You have to see them. Prat l'chsus laila, that excludes garments that you wear at night. So therefore, since the parsha of vayomer is talking about the mitzvah of tzitzis, which is only during the day, it is secondary and it goes after the parsha of v'haya im shamoa. Now the Gemara says as follows: Shma mina mitzvah strichas kavana. Should we see from this Mishnah that mitzvahs require kavana? Because the Mishnah said that if a person is learning Torah, happens to be at the parsha of Kriya Shema, as long as he has kavana, he can be yotze the mitzvah of Kriya Shema. That would imply that mitzvahs require kavana. Now the only problem is that this is a machlokus whether or not mitzvahs need kavana or not. So is the Mishnah taking sides? So the Gemara says no, not necessarily. Mai im kivein libo likros. What does it mean he has intention? It doesn't mean you have kavana to be yotze the mitzvah. It could be that mitzvahs do not require kavana to be yotze, but what it means is he's having kavana to read the words. The Gemara says, Likros v'akakari, to read the words. He is reading the words. What added kavana does he need? That's the whole case. The case is the person is reading the words of Shema, and he's having some kind of added kavana. What added kavana could you have? The Gemara answers, Bekore lahagia. No, we are talking about somebody who is reading in order to edit. He's maybe reading out of a Sefer Torah. He wants to check to see if there's any mistakes. He's not having in mind to even do reading at that point. So the Mishnah is saying, if the time for Kriya Shema comes, he should have in mind, pay attention to what he is reading and be reading for the purpose of reading, and then he will be Yotzei the mitzvah. It does not necessarily prove that you have to have kavana to actually be Yotzei the mitzvah. Tanra Abanan, the Gemara now brings a brisa. Kriyas Shema kichsava divrei Rabbi, v'chachamim omrim b'chol lashon. Rabbi says you have to read the parsha of Kriyas Shema as it is written in Lashon HaKodesh, and the Chachamim say you can say it in any language. My time with the Rabbi, what's the reason of Rabbi? Amar Kra, the pasuk says v'hayu. It says and they will be b'haviyasan yehu. It has to be as they are written in the same fashion, in the same lashon hakodesh. V'rabbanan my time ayon. What's the reason of the rabbanan? Amar Kra, because the pasuk says shema. It says the word shema. B'chol lashon shata shomea means any language which you can understand, any language which you can hear. Rabbi nami haksiv shema. What does Rabbi do with the word shema? Hahumi boile hashmea la'oznecha masha tamotzi mipicha. He uses it to tell you that you're only yotze if you can hear with your ears that which you're saying with your mouth. You cannot say it so quietly that you can't hear it. V'rabbanan savri lahu command amar lo ishmiya la'ozno yatsa. However, the Rabbanan hold like the opinion that says that even if you can hear what you're reading, you are yotze. Rabbanan nami haksiv v'hayu. And what does the Rabbanan do? What do the Rabbanan do with the word v'hayu? That tells you v'hayu, it has to be as they are written. You can't do it out of order. You can't read it backwards. The Rabbi shelo yikra lemafreya minole, and where does Rabbi know that you can't read it backwards? Nafgalei mi devarim ha devarim. It could have said v'hayu devarim. It didn't have to say v'hayu ha devarim ha'ela. The extra hey, Rabbi darshans to say that you can't read it out of order. You can't read it backwards. V'rabbanan devarim ha devarim lo darshi. The Rabbanan say you can't learn things out from the extra hey. Therefore, they are forced to use the v'hayu, and that ends up being the source of the machlokas between Rabbi and the Rabbanan. Gemara now continues. L'meimra desava Rebbe d'chol haTorah kula b'chol lashon nemra. This seems to imply that Rebbe holds that in general the Torah can be read in all different languages. Meaning if you have other things which you're reading which are an obligation to read from the Torah, those things it seems that you can read in any language. Because if it was true by all things that you could only read in Lashon HaKodesh, v'hayu, the pasuk of Rachmana Lamali, you would no longer need the pasuk of v'hayu anymore. In other words, if Rebbe has a special pasuk by Kriya Shema to tell you that you have to read it in Lashon HaKodesh, that would imply everywhere else it does not need to be in Lashon HaKodesh. The Gemara says no, not necessarily. Itzrich, it could be you do need v'hayu, mishum dechsiv shema, because the word shema might have told you that shema is the exception. Maybe you would have thought shema can be said in any lashon because of the word shema, so therefore we need the pasuk of v'hayu to tell you, no, it has to be in lashon HaKodesh. The Gemara now does the same thing with the Rabbanan. L'meimer desavri Rabbanan d'chol haTorah kula b'lashon HaKodesh nemra. Do you mean to tell me that according to the Rabbanan, the entire Torah can be read only in Lashon HaKodesh, because if you're going to tell me that it could be in any language, Shema, the cause of Rachmana Lamali. So then the pasuk of Shema, you wouldn't need the pasuk of Shema. This is true by all things, that it could be done in any language. You wouldn't need a special pasuk by Shema of the word Shema. Gemara says, no, Itzrich, we do need it, Mishum Dechsiv V'hayu, because since by Shema it says the word V'hayu, that might have implied that it needs to be in Lashon HaKodesh specifically here. Therefore, the word Shema tells you it can be in any language, so there's no proof one way or the other, either Rebbe or the Rabbanan, what would be by other parshios. Would we say that they can be in any language, or can they only be in Lashon HaKodesh? There's no proof from the drushes that they make here by Kriya Shema. Gemara now brings another brisa, 2 dots at the bottom of the page. Tan Rabbanan, we learned in a brisa, v'hayu, it says v'hayu, shelo yikr lemafrei, like we said before, you cannot read it out of order, you can't read backwards. Hadivarim al levavecha, so it says that these words have to be upon your heart. Yachol teikol parsha tzricha kavana. I might have thought that the entire parsha, you need to have kavana of what you are reading. Talmud lomar ha'ela, so it says these words, Ad kan tzricha kavana. Only until these words do you need to have kavana. Mikan va'elach ein tzricha kavana. From this point on, in order to be yotze the mitzvah of Kriya Shema, you don't need to have kavana of the words you are reading. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer, those are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. Amar le Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Akiva says, Harehu Omer, but doesn't it say, and we will continue on the next Amud, what Rabbi Akiva's argument is, and that concludes Daf Yud Gimel Amar Aleph in Mesaches Brachos.